Alright, so Scorpion 72 for another video. So basically my main thing is that I'm thinking, does McFarlane have too much on his plate? Reason why I'm saying that, and I'll get to that answer or the answer to that question a little bit later, is that he has a lot of toy lines now. A lot of toy lines lined up. Some that were lined up before that he didn't even say if he still has them or not. And people, a lot of collectors like me and other collectors out there, noticing that his paint apps and some of his quality for his figures has been lacking of a state. And it might be due to that. Maybe he's just taking too much of this buffet and not giving himself the time to breathe, or at least give that extra time to really get the quality of the figures that he should be, or we known for him to get out. Now, I'm not saying all of it's bad. Like, stuff he's been putting out is really, really good, really, really nice. But I find some points of mainly the paint apps on a lot of the figures that should be there are not there, and trying to figure out why that might be and stuff like that. So we're going to just, well, my opinion of it is going to be just taking a look at it. Of course, you know, most videos say this, like, subscribe, and hit the little bell button and stuff like that. But you guys already know that already, so just kind of like hate having to just repeat it and stuff like that. So we'll see. So, anyways, here's a list of McFarlane stuff. This is all that McFarlane has license for, or he used to have license for. What I'll do is we'll go through the stuff he used to have license for. I think that no longer exists. There might be a few in the list when I go down it that might change too in the long run. So here we go. He used to have license for, from what I remember, what I think of, is Destiny 2. He apparently made he made a shield, some props, a few figures for those. Hello Neighbor. I don't think he's still doing that anymore. Let's see, Stranger Things. We know that's been pretty much axed. I think he mentioned that a couple of years ago. He Not a couple of years ago, about a year ago, when somebody asked him if certain other characters would be coming in, he said no, he doesn't think that line's gonna go forward. So I think that's done. Star Trek, that's done for like a while now. Walking Dead, we know that's been done. And another one I like to throw in there is I believe the one I'm looking for now is Stranger Things, which now went to somebody else. So I believe who just got that? Bandai, I believe, just got that license rights for that. And I think another one will be out the door. I'll get to it when I go down the list. But those are the ones I know of right now that he no longer has like license to, what he's doing figures for in the future so far. Like, it'll be nice if he came on and say, okay, I've been doing this line, I'm no longer doing this line, rather than have us sitting here waiting what's going to be the next figure is going to come in line. So, as right now, this is a list of stuff that he has listed as what he has the, I guess, the licenses of figures to do. So, uh, let's start from the beginning. So we have Avatar: The Last Airbender. Airbender. So we know about that. He has like 5 points of articulation figures coming out. I think in the 6-inch size, and they have 7-inch figures of those. Bloodshot. I think that's a one shot. Anyways, there's only one figure came out of that whole movie, and I don't think he's revisiting that anytime soon. Borderlands, don't know what's going on with that. I think that's done. Call of Duty, I think he came up with 2 figures last year or something like that, a year and a half ago, and haven't heard anything from that. Critical Role, he came up with some statue. Don't know what's going on with that in the future. Cuphead, I think he might be doing still a bit more of that. Not sure. Cyberpunk 2077. I think due to the game delaying, and the fact that it wasn't that good, apparently, I think that line is done. DC Multiverse. Mark that one. DC Multiverse. We're gonna get back to that one. I think that's the one that changed a lot of things. We have here DC Retro, which basically means the Batman 66 line. Disney Mirrorverse, that one's the new one, and he just acquired that, and he's making figures for that. We don't know how long, so we'll have to wait and see. Doom, I think he's pretty much done with. Ever since the last figure he announced, there wasn't much really actually Doom figures. I think there was like three variations of Doom, a villain, and then that Doom unicorn was the last thing he put out there, which is kind of weird. It's like, okay, thanks for the Doom unicorn. Where's the rest of the stuff? Like, where's some of the actual big bad villains in that game and stuff? Nothing. And it's monster villains. It's up his alley. Nothing from Doom. So I will put Doom on the list as we ain't gonna see any more figures from Doom. It's been a while actually. Dune. That's the movie that got delayed. I don't know if we see any more figures, any more characters from that. I think it's gonna be based on how the movie does, and then he might push forward with some figures he might have down the pipeline that he was going to release when the movie really came out with a wave 2. So if the movie does well, there'll probably be a wave 2. If the movie doesn't do well, whatever we got is what we got. Five Nights at Freddy's. I think he's still going with that. There's a few sets that's still out there. It's still coming out. Don't know for sure. Fortnite. This one is a surpriser because Hasbro now acquired the lines for Fortnite, and it'll start till next year. But a year and a half ago, if you guys want to look back and see the toy fair he did, that's around the time when he just acquired the DC license, and he showed the figure lines for White Knight. And we weren't sure which direction he was going with DC Multiverse, but he had a lot of nice looking Fortnite figures. There was like a white camouflage Firefly looking figure. There's another ice looking figure. There's a few other figures that look really, really nice. And as of to date, only ones that came out from there were Big Mouth, the Toy Soldier, and out of the blue, we have this half skeleton, half regular Peely figure. And I think that's the last figure of this line. I have no idea what happened to the other figures of this line or any of the other creatures and stuff. I think Lava Wing was the one that managed to come out. But as for the figures and stuff, and there's some really cool figures from this line that were supposed to come out. I don't think they're coming out because now we're almost like a year later, year and a half later, and those figures haven't seen the light of day. I think it's by this point the ones that we did get, Big Mouth and the Toy Soldier one, and this we're already down the pipeline. I think Peely is just throwing in there because Peely is a very very popular Fortnite character apparently. But that line, as of January, is going to Hasbro. And I think there's another company that's been pushed. Is it Playmates or something that's doing that line, and they're throwing out figures as fast as they can before the end date of December 31st when Hasbro takes over. And Hasbro's been promoting some of the figures that are going to be coming out for the line when they take over in January 2022. All right, back to Game of Thrones. We're not done. Apparently, he's supposed to reissue the figures that came out from the last season. The last season wasn't really well received. On top of that is when he started really realizing that maybe he should start doing more articulation to those figures due to Fortnite being so popular at that same time when that came out roughly. Because Fortnite came out actually a few years before the Game of Thrones came out, and it did really well because if you already know, Todd Mcfarlane is not a guy who really likes articulation. He's more of an artist. And those figures did really well. And he says he's going to put the more articulation in the Game of Thrones figures and stuff. But since they weren't really doing too well, I think that either got scrapped. And then we started getting some nice Fortnite figures and stuff like that. And then we came into DC and stuff like that. So those two play a critical role in what I'm talking about today. Then we have Labyrinth. I think it's a one-off. Harry Potter. Apparently that wasn't doing too well, which you can't really even find any of the figures now today. So whether he's going to revisit that, how long he had the license for Harry Potter remains to be seen. But right now, as it stands, what we got is what we got. After Mortal Kombat, that's still going. Still a lot of repeats. There's a few new characters coming out. He likes the Edge of Spawn in there, which, why not? Spawn's in the game. He's got Spawn in the line. He's done a few characters that no one's done before so far. Wait, has he done anybody so far? Let's take a look. Yeah, he has Cabal and some of that. Cabal is the one that pops up. I'd like him to do more from that line. Um, mm, I know the repaints help pay for the new figures, so hopefully those new figures will be a little bit more females. If he comes out with a Sonya figure, he'll be like the only like third person to come out with a Sonya figure. If you're talking about 6 inch and bigger than this, then he'll be the second person to come out with a Sonya figure, which Sonya is one of the main characters in there. It'd be nice to see a Kano, even the old man Shang Chun would be nice to have because we never had that. So stuff like that, he likes to, he mentioned that in DC, he want to do stuff that figures have never been done before. Mortal Kombat falls under that same realm. Why it's so slow in coming and forth, I think it has to do with the whole DC license that he has that seems to be taking precedence. Again, we'll get back to that real soon. Let me just get on this list. My Hero Academia. Very, very nice figures he's doing for this thing. The scale is a little bit off with some of the kids versus the adults and stuff like that in size. It's slowed down. Yeah, there's still so many characters that I would love to see, and they're not coming out as fast as they should be. Like, he's barely even got half the classmates out. Like the fact that we got Red Riot twice already. Zuko Midoriya, I can understand having him again. Bakugo, I understand again. Shishori, we haven't had him a second time. But there is a very limited amount of female figures he's released. And it would be nice if you got to some of those. I got some of the characters that really stood out in the series, and even some of the villains. That's a line he should really be picking up on and really be spitting out more characters of, compared to what he's doing right now with one of them here, which is Warhammer. I'm getting on the list of that, but you'll see the difference there. So, One Punch Man, One Punch Deal. Shark. Apparently, he's supposed to be another Shark coming out for that. Another waving thing. Spawn. He must be loving the fact that his Kickstarter did so well. Spawn figures doing good, quite well, and with the associated with the Mortal Kombat line. So now he's back in the Spawn, which started this whole collector type painting and action figure thing from the beginning, from 1990. When did he come out? Oh shoot, 1992, I believe, 95, around that time. No, can't be 95, 92, probably like that, or 91. Gosh, I had it in the tip of my head because I was there. I remember when he started the whole company. Anyway, Elder Scrolls, no idea what's going on with that. I think he did one thing and that's it. Warhammer, as I was saying, Warhammer is putting out a lot of figures. He's putting a lot of figures for Warhammer. That's pretty much now, I would say, surpass My Hero Academia. And My Hero Academia is quite popular. So is Warhammer. Maybe Warhammer is a little bit more popular than My Hero Academia, but still, he should equally be putting out the same amount of figures for Warhammer as he is for My Hero Academia. Because when you look at Warhammer, that's a lot of sculpting, a lot of detail into these figures. Where My Hero Academia is, a lot of them are just like, you have a bit more sculpt, you have some sculpt to them, but a lot of them are more basic, uniforms, like superhero skin, like skin type uniforms and stuff, with a few accessories, big boots and stuff like that. You have the boots and the arms and the gauntlets and stuff. He could be putting out more figures of My Hero Academia than he is of Warhammer, or at least have it balanced out. But Warhammer, just now with the pre-orders that went out for the orcs and the other are the Marines and the other aliens, like that four-arm alien is just crazy. So I'm just wondering why you see the difference there, and it makes me scratch my head about that. Even The Witcher, he seems to be really pressing on with like the ice giants and stuff like that. But that's a popular type, not only game but also Netflix TV series. So The Witcher's on the list, and that's going on. The other one now is Princess Bride, which he announced, I think, a few months ago or sometime last year. So now we actually saw the figures for those. How much more we'll see of that remains to be seen, but that's another one he has on the list. So that's the action figures. They have the construction sets, which I'm not sure if he's still doing, but I think he is with the Five Nights at Freddy's. South Park, I don't think he's doing it anymore. Rick and Morty, I don't know if that's going anymore. Steven Universe, I don't know if that's going anymore. And Cuphead, I think that's still going on anymore. I think that's still going on. I'm not sure. So, for all that, this list here shows you all that McFarlane Toys has in production, have done, or whatever. So now it brings me back to my original question: does he have too much on his plate? And we're going the possibility of that is because the reason why I say that is because if anybody who's collected Fortnite or any of the future or the past McFarlane products, you know, it's the paint details and stuff. But Fortnite is the one that has the most articulation. But if you look at the paint apps on it, is next to no paint apps that are really, really missing. So my question and why this whole thing came about is the fact that the DC Multiverse sugars that came out, first batch you had to get them out at a certain time. So I know the first batch was 50-50, wasn't really well received. Like I have them here. Like either, by the way, these are my doubles. So I have open and I have doubles in the wall. Going back to the old times when I used to collect Spawn. Speaking of which, let's just go into that quickly. So, Todd McFarlane worked for various companies, even DC, doing Infinity Inc., especially that Skull guy, Mr. Bones, and stuff like that. Do a few covers. Went to Marvel, did Spider-Man. It's phenomenal on Spider-Man, even though got a lot of flack for the way he's drawing Spider-Man, the big eyes, the web and stuff. Did Spider-Man #1, sold a ton. I have all the, I think I have all the variant covers. That's the thing back then, variant covers, gold, shiny foil covers of comic books and stuff. Did all that. Him and a bunch of guys, Jim Lee, Rob Liefeld, all them stuff, started on company Image. That's when he came out with his own character that he had in the back burner for the longest time, Spawn. So Spawn came to the scene, blew up the market, blew up everything. This year now just passed the 300 issue mark, which is a phenomenal milestone. Sorry. The main thing is that Spawn changed everything when he started bringing the figures into making figures of Spawn. You should watch this video how he said he got that. It's at Toy Fair and how he got it. He just very lucky. Like basically cardboard cutouts at Toy Fair, and the main boss of Toys R Us, which is the biggest toy branch back then, came in, and it's because his assistant that said, "Hey, look at this guy," and he just said, "Yeah, he promises that he can get these figures out with just cardboard painted images of what the figures would look like and what they would do," and he managed to do it. I remember walking into Toys R Us, because Toys R Us came here in Canada, I believe it was 83, 84. I remember walking first Toys R Us, I was like, with my brother, like, hyperventilating, feeling dizzy. I had to hold onto his arm, because, like, it's a toy store full of toys, like, wow. So I remember the time I walked down the aisle. Back then, down the amount of point here, too. Sorry, I'm trying to make this video not too long, but I have a lot of stories and stuff that I'd like to just explain to some people that might be new to this, because I've been collecting toys and stuff since I was like 6, 7. I was around watching Superpowers and Batman 1966 in the morning and Wonder Woman and stuff like that. So that gives you a little idea. I'm aging myself now. So by then, superhero stuff were pretty much almost done. There was nothing really out there. It was dying down. You won't believe the stuff that you are grabbing for: Transformers, Star Wars, Marvel, DC. Back in the late 80s, all of that was like almost non-existent. It was dying down. It was finished. Like, I got excited for collecting cops, because that's what was out there that was super articulated and cool to get, was cops. So I was happy that the cops line is doing well. Bad marketing move or whatever decision made at Hasbro to cancel cops to promote Air Raiders, was Air Raiders flopped. And that's the real reason why cops never continue, because that's what happened there. So brings back to where we had 1989 is when Batman came out. So Batman came out, figures came out, people got hyped about superhero movies. Then Batman figures come out, they keep going, then they come a cartoon, then Spider-Man, X-Men comes, then Toy Biz comes in, they're doing the 5-inch figures and stuff, then Star Wars comes back in, they made some of the figures too buff, but they're working their way back in. So eventually it picked up. So as I was picking up, the figures were looking okay, but it could have been better. And that's what Mcfarlane thought. Why these figures that people are doing at this price point when it can be better at the same price point? Came up with Spawn or comic book paint apps was phenomenal. You couldn't believe, like, when I saw those figures, I bought them all. I still have the comic books from those figures. I still have the first Spawn I got. I still have the first mail away Red Violator and the Bum Spawn. I still have. You've seen the picture there or whatever. It's, I still have those ones. Those are my favorite ones. And the Angela I still kept. So yeah, so even Wave 2, when he did Meliboja, I still have Meliboja too, in a bigger package, but still on a hook on a shelf. And when you take that guy out, he's literally like almost 10 inches tall for back then for the same price. Like, he hit the market hard, and the other companies took notice and started doing better on their articulation, paint apps, sculpting, everything. Like back then, the Four Horsemen were working for Todd Toys when you had to change the Mcfarlane toys. But a lot of these companies took notice, and boom, that's where we started getting this great, like, better paint apps and better articulation and better overall better sculpting of figures that we really like. Hence, that's spawned Marvel Legends from Toy Biz and on the other figures like Mattel's DC Multiverse and stuff like that. So, sticking with Mcfarlane now, does a few figures. Then, for some reason, he did like other companies like DC Direct and stuff, and some other companies they switched to clear plastic. Worst thing to ever use in an action figure. Clear plastic becomes brittle, breaks. Even if you take out the package, breaks. So his figures became breakable. And so the other DC Direct. Like, I still have my first DC Direct Wonder Woman, and it's still fine. But the later DC Direct figures with the clear plastic break easily. You don't have to barely touch. You sneeze funny, and they break apart. They just fall apart. And that's the thing with Mcfarlane. So he started gearing away from more articulation to his figures to be more artistic, because he's our artist, and he wanted to keep the artistic look of the figure. So he put less articulation, and it became like medium articulated statues. So basically, with that, spawned the whole sports realm and the sports figures and everything, and anything that came up from Spawn was basically based on like cover book cover and stuff like that, and limited articulation. And then it just faded away. There was no Spawn figures out there anymore, nothing like that. Till about, I think, 5 years ago, he came out and had the Spawn figure, still limited articulation. It sold well, but not really what people were gunning for. I remember that figure was sitting there. I didn't even get it because I kind of wish I got it now, but I'm like, I'm okay with not having it. So, brings you back to the whole thing now, roundabout. Fortnite comes out with super articulation, sells, everybody's happy, everybody's gunning Fortnite. Fortnite is a popular game. Mcfarlane's making figures, different articulation on all these figures and stuff, except for the thigh cut. I just wish that was a little bit better. Not so much the thigh cut, but I understand that, we want to break up the sculpt a bit at that point, unless you can hide it. But our thigh cut should be a little bit better in rotation, like how they have the figures on Mayfex, because some people don't fret at that. Like, they pay like $100 for that. It's the same type figure, but the thigh swivel is better on those figures than they are for these figures, even for the thigh cut, which is actually the same, and nobody seems to gripe about that for some reason. Anyways, excuse me. So we get into that. So I think it's because of that, the Fortnite figures, whatever he did, or whatever kind of meeting he had with DC, because he even mentioned it in his Toy Fair thing, that he, Toy Fair interview with the show, that he was the only one going to these shows and then have the big three, which is Star Wars, Marvel, and DC. Didn't have them. So, Hasbro now has Marvel and DC. Sorry, Marvel and Star Wars and a whole bunch of other stuff like Power Rangers and stuff like that. I'm gonna get into another. I think I'll do another video of Hasbro and their brand and how Super Center manages to get theirs. So we're gonna go into that another time. So as we go on now, I was looking, almost lost my train of thought. So because of that, I think that's why he got the DC line. So figures come on, as I mentioned, mixed reviews, because he's basically telling everybody I can go in anywhere with this DC line. I can do comics, cartoon, movie, TV show, and stuff. So all the figures came out pretty okay, except for Arrow, which is weird that they glue his hood on, right? They didn't have articulation in his head very much. You have to really pull it or heat it up and take off the hood if you want head articulation there. And then the figure's coming out. Now, the problem here with a lot of people is like, as you can see by my shirt, lots of Batman. Super much Batman. I like Batman, but I can understand that you have to have Batman in the line. That's fine. But to have the majority of it being Batman in each wave was a thing for a lot of people. So as that progressed, it was working, because as much as people complain about Batman, it was as much as he was selling. And just like all the other companies, like Marvel, are going to Marvel Legends because they're like up there. Remember back then, that had Wolverine in every wave and stuff. Now it's like Iron Man in every wave, Captain America in every wave, Thor in every wave, or multiple. Like the last wave with the Build-A-Bear that just came out from, I call it Build-A-Bear because it really is kind of like a Build-A-Bear, had majority was Iron Man. It was a wave basically of Iron Man with Bear. Now, and a few, like 3 odd characters. Nobody's really making a fret about that. But when it comes there, and like fanboys, we like to complain a lot, but sometimes you gotta be like, well, if it works, it works. But yes, there's a lot of Batman for a line that's called DC Multiverse. At the beginning, we all thought he would split it up. It would be like Batman, wave of Batman stuff, DC Multiverse. This is DC stuff in DC Universe. But it didn't work out that way. Nevertheless, now the figures are really, really popular. They're becoming harder to get and harder to find. And he's brought back in the Chase figures with a little silver sticker. He's brought artist proof stuff so you can paint your own stuff if you want. Most of that, I think he's now gone back to sticking to mostly Warhammer, because I haven't seen any of that for DC Multiverse. He still has to get approval from Warner Brothers for the figures he's gotten out. The thing that I don't like about this is that the whole Warner Brothers no gun thing for toys is, to me, kind of stupid, especially when they have movies, cartoons, video games, everything like that with these characters that are specialized in guns, have guns, show you that there, but in a toy you can't have it. If you don't want, even it's going even to the high end markets where they're saying like, okay, you're not coming off a gun like at that, like really, I'm not paying $110 for a figure and you're not getting a Joker's signature bang gun. Come on. So unless there's a way that you can do it where you hide it and then it comes with it and then it's just as is, but now it seems like you can't have it at all. So they're giving swords and axe and stuff. Makes no sense. Which I'm glad that in a way that, okay, well, at least we could get like Flashpoint Batman and Red Hood and Grim Knight, who are guys who carry guns and stuff like that. But I think those ones were already way in development because they got guns, but we didn't get any guns with Deathstroke, who's a mercenary, who sniper gun, handgun, whatever. So I think in between there, that's when that happened, and some of them were already way done. Like even now, we got the new Flashpoint Batman. He came with a sword. He came unmasked, and he still came with 2 guns. So I think stuff was already in the wheels. They couldn't stop. So brings us this. Now lately, there's a lot of paint apps missing some figures. As I look on my wall, I can see there's some paint apps that could have been added to the Aquaman Justice League. There's those lines on the Flash that could have been added. There's a few paint apps missing on the heavy metal Superman. The Wonder Woman could have used a bit more. The Cyborg could have used a tiny bit more. Steppenwolf could have used a few more, or at least highlighted silvers. There's some paint apps that are missing, even the upcoming figures that should be there. The retro Batman 66 figures. Robin's belt, from the picture, I have to check mine. He's missing the yellow painted capsules. Even the Batmobile. The Batmobile is less detail painted than the Mattel Batmobile. Even though it's shorter, the figures kind of don't really sit in that Batmobile. The Mattel Batmobile is longer, but the point is that it's more painted. The inside's painted, the phone's painted better. Even the side where it says, I think fire exhaust or something on the side there when in the divider, it's painted better, or at least it's more detailed. McFarlane is known for his detail, so I don't understand why the paint apps are missing. Even for some of the Mortal Kombat figures, I know that some of the paint apps are missing that should be there. So my overall beginning of this whole thing, I'm trying not to run. I'm actually watching the time, guys. I'm trying not to run into the 40-minute line. Does he have too much on his plate? Yes, he does. Does he know it? Don't know. He probably does, but at this point, he's riding a gravy train. It's a high for him. He's got all these licenses. DC Multiverse is doing so popular that now he's going to be in charge of DC Direct. He's allowing to revise DC Direct to distribute the stuff. Some of the stuff that was already either in production or left over at the warehouse, been showing up at the EB Games here in GameStop at a really ridiculously low price. I'm talking about statues that used to be almost $200. You can get them for under $100. $71 for a big Batman statue. $50 for like a Nightwing Hush statue. That's ridiculous. But it's inventory that was sitting there and stuff. He's continuing lines that I think were already in the pipeline, already halfway through, like Batman, the new animation, new adventures of Batman. Some more of the the DC essentials there. Was it the dead figures? I think they call them. I might be saying the name wrong. All this stuff and future statues and stuff he's allowed to do. So now he has that whole section over there apart from his own company. But I think part of his company is the one that's distributing, because he has a lot of factories, so he's able to get that out faster. That's the good thing about Mcfarlane, is that when you see a figure, basically this figure you will have in your hands within less than 4 months. You gotta have this figure in your hand. That's why I like, not like some of these other companies that you almost waiting like a whole year and beyond, even on a pre-order, and it sucks. And yes, I'm gonna make a little like gut punch to you, Mezco, is that when people pre-order stuff and it should have been coming out like 2 months ago, but yet you come out with these like Rumble Society stuff that come out in the same month. Yeah, people are gonna be a little upset that, how is this out there getting out there before this one? I have a feeling I have a strong feeling it has to do with the whole price increase of the shipping carts and cargo and stuff like that. That I don't think you can afford to really get those figures out in a timely manner without making more money on the side from your own brand. That's another thing I'll probably explore another video or something like that. I've been thinking about doing that. But let's take McFarlane. Yes. So my thing is that I understand he has a lot of stuff that he wants to bring out. A lot of it's been being leaked quite a bit online, and as much as the leaks come out and people saying, okay, I don't want to talk about it, kind of may or may not be true, 90% of the time they're pretty much accurate and they're right on the ball, so they are true. And whatever lists you've been seeing, Facebook, I think, is what the Truth or Reason of Truth is one of them, and toyinternational.com, he reports on the leaks. Foosh doesn't, so, which I understand. I like to make sure I have an official announcement from McFarlane, because some of this stuff gets canceled. Like Harley Quinn got canceled from the Harley Quinn movie figure got canceled. They couldn't figure out the way to do something for uniform. But now she's coming out in November. So we're talking about almost 2 years later. This figure that was supposed to be part of Wave 1 is now coming out. So it can happen. And then some other figures just get straight out canceled, like the Fortnite figures that we saw at the Toy Fair 2020 are they're not coming out. But it is a little bit transparency will be really nice. You know, he makes videos here and there. It'd be nice to say, look, stuff didn't pan out for this. We're not doing these figures, and that's it. People be like, okay. Rather than have people sitting here, collectors sitting here, wondering, okay, when's this figure coming out? Is he gonna release it? Or we send you messages and stuff, and you don't respond, or you don't have one of your reps say, okay, this is not happening. Like, it would be nice just to say, okay, let us know. Like, you know, Zombie PLE is the last figure in Fortnite, and they were done. Okay, whoever has them all, like me, have all the Fortnite figures. Okay, I have a complete collection. I'm done with that. That's fine. I can put it one spot. Don't have to make any more room for any Fortnite figures, and keep going with the DC multiverse figures, the Mortal Kombat figures, whatever, something like that. It just gives collectors a sense of space management, to know they want to still have it displayed, make room for the other stuff that's coming out. You know, it helps a big lot. So I don't know how many other license he's going after. I think at this point he's got a good chunk that he can, like, pretty much just lean back, because I'm sure, like, think about it, we still have Black Adam coming out, we have Shazam 2 coming out, we have the new Batman movie coming out. Like, this could be figures for those. And if, like me, I'm getting a lot now. He got me back and getting the figures back into the Mcfarlane line again, getting all those figures. And he has Spawn, and he's gonna be making Spawn figures, like, you know, like no tomorrow. It'd be interesting to know what's going on with the next Kickstarter, because it's supposed to be Medieval Spawn. I wonder if he's still doing that now that the Spawn figures are showing up in stores. Is that gonna be like a scrap Kickstarter, or is he still gonna be pushing that Kickstarter soon? Because that's supposed to happen in the fall, and, well, technically still kind of fall, but don't wait too long. Like, closer it gets to Christmas, the less people want to spend that money to, you know, back up a Kickstarter. Just saying. So yeah, I find that if he's announced figures and stuff like that, try to get the paint apps in there. More accessories would be nice. Less of these different packagings with different heads. Like, if Marvel Legends can give you 2 different heads, accessories, and a piece of Build-A-Figure for roughly the same price, they can do it with their Power Rangers line, then you should be able to do it too. Because I really don't understand the point of having Batman from the movie, for example, 3 different heads, 3 different packaging. Like, one side, collector might want to have each of them. But on the other hand, it would be nice to have one figure that you can swap out the 3 heads as much, you know, just to change it up. And accessories would be nice. A little bit more accessories. Like, especially if all the paint detail is not there, then there better be some accessories there, or at least try to way to balance out. Many people already voiced their opinion that they're willing to pay more, $5 more, $2 more, just to get that extra accessory, get that extra head, so they don't have to be hunting. And the platinum thing for the chase figure, it shouldn't be a main thing for somebody to really get. You know, it should be something for fun, like, you know, like you had before. Because right now, when I look at my wall and look at the accessories a lot of these people are coming with, like, lately Batman's coming for less accessories. And you seem to be really digging the Flash, because other than the Gold Label Flash from what's it there, Earth 52, all the other Flashes come with at least 4 different, like, lightning effects. Even Reverse Flash come with 4 different lightning effects and stuff like that. So you accessorizing the Flash. It'll be nice if, like, Superman came with two different pairs of hands, two fists, two open hands, even the punch effect, even like heat vision, something. But it seems like you really liking the Batman and the Flash. Just look at anybody there. Look at the figures, and you'll see the accessories that come with. From what I'm saying, you'll see like why is this one come with a little bit more accessories than the other one? Like how's that balance it out? Like we should have a little bit more better balance of what accessories come with that are accessories that make sense to figures that really should have them. Like even right now, the new upcoming Lex Luthor, he doesn't have a blast effects. They don't even have even kryptonite. He has a fancy dance pose, but no kryptonite weapon, no blast effect, nothing like that. But the second one, like, has a chair, which is cool. The throne, that's really neat. I wasn't expecting that, and that one's really cool. So I guess maybe it's all within the bracket frame and budget. I do know how some of the toy budget and stuff works and stuff when it comes to like, you have this set amount of money, you have to do this. Who can get what? But accessory pack will really sell for people that want to add to these figures that you already have, and they're great. Like I have no really complaints. Um, they're great figures. It's nice to finally get some nice figures. Different like sculpted detail. Even the embryos and stuff is sculpted on. It's not painted. So unique sculpts is really nice. Don't mind if you understand sometimes you have to repack them in a 2-pack or reissue them in a different color. I know you have to pay for sculpts. If you're doing unique sculpts and figures, you can't really technically have it as a one-off all the time because it gets costly. So it's either that you repackage them, repaint them and stuff, or you end up you don't want to go down the route like, some other companies that have to keep using the same buck and same thing, which I'm not harping on them, but that's just the way it is. So keep the profit, the margin down for the cost of the figure and add new parts when they can. So that's why now we have all these Kickstarter promotes and stuff like, HasLab and all this Mattel Creations stuff, because it's now heading to that way. And I think in all, as us collectors and fans need to realize is that things are increasing. Companies overseas are seeing how the market goes, and they're increasing the amount for shipping this stuff over here and producing this stuff. So we would like to have this stuff keep coming, but don't expect it to be the same $15-$20 you paid like 3 years ago. The same thing goes for some cars. Some cars you might have paid this, or a house you might have paid that 4 or 5 years ago, but now it's more. That's just the way it is now. It's like inflation is going up. Too bad some of our job wages aren't going up the same speed as this, but it's the way it's going, and as long as we can keep supporting it as best we can, I think they'll do the best they can to make sure it's not over the top. But then again, when they look at somebody paying $20 for a Thor figure or something like that, or a Batman figure, versus, and all of a sudden a Batman figure, a Thor figure from overseas, from Mayfex or Figma, for $125 sells out in a matter of minutes. Some companies are gonna think, well, maybe that's maybe the route we're gonna have to go through, and I don't want them to go through that because it takes a lot longer. Those figures take a long time to even get here, so you won't even get like a batch of 6. They just take longer, and I don't want everything to turn into a Kickstarter either. Imagine every figure, every wave is a Kickstarter wave, some of that. Don't want that, because it'll be a disaster. Remember what happened when Matty Collector tried that with the DC Signature Series? That didn't work out too well. Remember the Doomsday? In the end, we still got the Doomsday we wanted, but kind of killed the whole process of getting any other figures. But for what they were charging, they could have gave us more back then, because the way the increase in the way that the amount that costs for figures now. So, double check on the list to make sure I didn't miss any of the points I wanted to talk about. Uh, nope. Oh, there is the Raw 10 line. There's supposed to be another wave of that coming out. That's exclusive to Walmart and Amazon. That's a cool line. That's a line that's really detailed figures, limited articulation for a great price point. Like I like that line a lot too. That line is really really nice. So overall, I'm just saying that if anybody there, Mcfarlane company and stuff, is watching this video and listening, I'm just saying that if possible, put a little bit more paint apps. Take a look at what's all aesthetic of the character and stuff that you're going to send out, and make it accurate. You're already doing the sculpt accurate. You're doing, the figure face as accurate as you can. Might as well make the paint match and accurate, and don't skip out. Like, yeah, you do the front, don't forget the back, because some figures are missing the back detail too in the paint apps and stuff. Other than that, pace yourself. I think that's the main thing. It comes down to pace yourself. As much as you want to get these figures out, as much as we like to have them, where I like to have them as close to, I won't say perfect, but as close to what we expect it to be, versus having something that's rushed. And that's basically the bottom line I'm trying to get at. Is like, there's no need to rush it. We're door collectors. We're used to waiting. Anybody who pre-orders a Mezco figure, a HasLab figure, pay money up front, full amount. Like I'm talking like, like HasLab, you got any of the Kickstarter, you got to pay right up front, all amount, and then sit back and wait. Well, if we can wait for that, we can wait for this. So, the Scorpion 72 telling you to have fun, enjoy your toys, and be safe. Alrighty. Nice talk to you. Until next time. Cheers.